to another episode of Tarot by Hilary Live. We are getting a little bit of a late start because I was transitioning from my day job into my night job, and I needed to chill out on the couch for 10 minutes or so. And then I looked at the time and realized, oh boy, it's Friday night. So I'm going to wait for everything to propagate a little bit, make sure that everything is running correctly. And let me see here. Everything looks like it's running correctly, but I am going to be looking out for the pop-ups on YouTube, on Facebook. We had a couple of issues last week with the stream to YouTube where it cut out after 18 minutes, and the episode was not 18 minutes in length. So I had to look into that with my third-party app. And I think they're still looking into it. But in the meantime, I deleted out that and re-uploaded the entirety of the episode. So let us investigate and make sure everything's running properly. Okay, it looks like everything's running over on YouTube. I just have to check in with Facebook. Still looking into it, but in the meantime, I deleted out that and re-uploaded the entirety. Stop. So let us investigate and make sure everything's running properly. As you can hear, okay, it looks like everything's running over on. We're working on YouTube. Okay, good. And I still have to start things up over on Instagram, so let me go ahead and do that. So really quickly, tonight's episode is about EFT, the emotional freedom technique, and aka tapping, and also the tarot, how you can integrate the tarot into your tapping scripts, or the things that you're tapping about, or perhaps give you a little bit of intuition, a little bit of wording if you're not sure about the wording on what you're tapping on, and also to personalize your tapping or your EFT to really get the most out of it. So if you're confused as to what the hell EFT is, don't worry about it. I will explain everything when we get to the topic portion of the episode. First, let me start things off over on Instagram because I haven't started over on there yet. And I'm seeing more pop-ups about Instagram scammers, which is just ridiculous. Guys, I just want to say this here and now. If I'm dropping into your DMs and soliciting me giving you a reading for money, it's not me. It's probably a scammer that's doing this. And make sure that you're verifying who is in your DMs, because if it's Tarot by Hilary with 2 L's, that ain't me. That's a scammer. If it's Tarot by Hilary and anything is spelled wrong, like tarot is spelled with 2 R's, like that's a scammer. So please shop mindfully and be mindful of who is sliding into your DMs, because it's probably not a professional tarot reader. We usually don't solicit people in their DMs, and we usually have enough to do without creeping on people's DMs. I can't believe this is happening. It's ridiculous. So just a caveat there before I even go onto Instagram. Plus, let's see. And let me adjust things accordingly. So you're just going to get the corner of my phone holder, I guess. All right. Come on. Tarot. Okay. All right. Now we're good over on Instagram. Okay. And I see that Melissa's here, so I will go ahead and do the introductions, and then I will show that. I will display that comment over on Facebook. So hello, everybody. Thank you for bearing with me as I was checking all my tech stuff. Well, that just gives me an indication that we're definitely over on Facebook. So I see Jean Evans is here. Hello. So welcome to another episode of Tarot by Hilary Live. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Hilary of tarotbyhilary.com, professional tarot reader, demystifying the mystical and putting you in touch with the most beautiful of gifts, your own intuition. Because yes, my friends, do not argue with me. You have intuition. I firmly believe that everybody has intuition. I also see that we've got Dina joining us over on Instagram. So hello, Dina. And if you want me to shout you out during the live broadcast, please go ahead and put in your name and where you're tuning in from. I would love to hear it. I would love to shout you out. We also have Bex Tarot joining us over on Instagram. So let me wave to Bex, but it's not letting me wave. Okay, that's fine. And we have, I know that Melissa's tuning in over on Facebook because I'm seeing this comment right here. Hilary, oh, have you seen Hilary? Hilary the Tattooed Lady with music notes. Take your pick on how that's supposed to sound because I don't know. Lately, I've been driving my husband nuts with puppy songs on Instagram. If you guys, sorry, not on Instagram, on TikTok. Sorry. By the way, I am also on TikTok if you want to follow me over there. And I usually put my card of the day posts in video format over there if you want to follow me. It's the same handle as what you're seeing over on Facebook and YouTube, Tarot by Hilary, Hilary with one L, if you want to follow me there. But puppy songs on TikTok, are, I think, 2 puppies and their owners write little songs. And so currently I have the song Amazon Man stuck in my head, and I am not going to sing it unless asked to. But follow puppy songs on TikTok so you know why my husband's mad at me for singing the song Amazon Man to him, because it is an earwig. Anyway, so tonight's episode, we are talking about the emotional freedom technique, aka EFT, aka tapping, and the tarot. So I want to pull up the description. I want to give you the description that I put into the show notes here on Facebook over and on YouTube, not on Instagram, but I will probably describe it when I put it on IGTV later on for you Instagrammers. So what we're doing is we're discussing the emotional freedom technique and how you can bring tarot into it, including answering some questions and some subtopics of what is the emotional freedom technique, how to do it and what it's used for, and how you can use tarot or divination and intuition to personalize your tapping scripts. And then also when we get to the weekend forecast, I'm going to do a personalized EFT session for you guys to kind of show it, put it into action, kind of summarize the episode and how this works and how I used tarot to personalize my EFT tapping sessions. So we're going to be doing that based on the weekend forecast. So whatever card I pull, whether it's an oracle card or a tarot card, I didn't do tarot card of the day yet today. So it'll probably be a tarot card from the Mystic Mondays tarot. That's what I'm planning on doing. So hello, Udinal Do Jr. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but welcome to the broadcast. Yeah, so that is the episode. And as always, we're going to start off the top of the episode with some astrology and astro-weather from Teresa Reed, aka the Tarot Lady from her wonderful Astro Biz Digest. Talk about the topic, which is EFT, tapping, and the tarot, and then finish off with the weekend forecast. And we're tweaking the weekend forecast a little bit this episode to include personalized tapping session. based on that. So that sounds good to all of you. Please go ahead, click on those hearts. And if you'd like to be reminded of future episodes coming up, make sure you click on the bell. And I think that is true for both Facebook and for YouTube. Click on the bell to be alerted. And you can also subscribe, follow, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that is the episode. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. First, we're going to start out with the astrology from Teresa Reed. So let me go ahead and pull that up onto staging. So I don't want to remove my overlay if you're viewing over on Facebook and YouTube, but you're going to see a portion of it, but it's going to go ahead and propagate where you can find the AstroBiz Digest, where you can purchase it. And I usually plug it so that when I give this astrology, I want all of you to know where it's coming from, that it's not me. I am not a professional astrologer. I know just enough astrology to be dangerous, but I do often consult the astrology based on the AstroBiz Digest that Teresa puts out. It is a yearly subscription, $99 for the year, and you get astrology updates like all the freaking time right in your email inbox. So highly, highly, highly recommend it. And I'm going to go ahead and display the link on screen here. Sorry to those of you tuning in over on Instagram, but you can simply follow the tarot lady and get into her orbits if you like what you hear when I excerpt from the AstroBiz Digest. Of course, I don't want to give it all away because that would not be kind to Teresa and her work. So I usually give Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that's what we're going to do right now. And let me make sure that I have my widgets going. So we are going to do astrology in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and put the timer up there. Make sure I'm hydrated. Make sure I have everything pulled up. We're going to give my hydration break. And I'm definitely going to have to push my my desk back a little bit when I start to illustrate how to do some of this emotional freedom technique, aka tapping, because I want to make sure you can see my body and see where I'm doing the different tapping points. And it is a combination of both the physical tapping and also speaking out loud. All right, now that we have counted down to the AstroBiz Digest, let me go ahead and pull it up. And let's get started. Do know that we are about to enter a Mercury retrograde. So that is like the big, one of the two big astrological updates happening this week. So on the 26th, the lunar eclipse in Sagittarius arrived. That's the first in a series of two. The second one comes on June 10th. Eclipses can pack a punch, so be sure to have plenty of self-care on your calendar. Placement in Sagittarius means that you can see the truth on what philosophies no longer make sense for you or your business. Remember that the AstroBiz Digest does have an entrepreneurial business spin to it. Again, go ahead and tweak that language in your mind to make sure that it also is applicable for you both personally and professionally. I have found it to be applicable to me both personally and professionally. If something isn't working, this is your day to let it go. Even if you're trying to hold on, eclipses sometimes have a way of forcing your hand. Trust that any changes or endings around this day are meant to be. Relax, chill out, and soon you'll see the truth of the matter. Yeah, Sagittarius is often any lunar kind of movement happening in Sagittarius ends up being very truth-telling. So that's the reason why the lunar eclipse in Sagittarius has an emphasis on seeing the truth in what no longer serves you. So that's lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. Also, second Mercury retrograde of the year. That is happening tomorrow and starting tomorrow and running through June 22nd. Because of the placement in Gemini and so many mutable planets in the sky, it's too easy for communication breakdowns to occur for this Mercury retrograde. You'll want to watch every word with care. Think long and hard before you speak, tweet, or hit send. By that same token, you may encounter more than a few rude types. Don't hesitate to shut the door or hit those delete, mute, and block buttons with glee. Travel could be problematic. If you're heading anywhere, be sure to plot out some extra time in case of delays. Also, put off signing contracts or purchasing tech gear until the retrograde is over. For the love of all things holy, please back up your computers. This guidance, I mean, if you haven't already backed up your computer, like I feel like we're already like well into the shadow period of Mercury retrograde. So I think it might be already too late if you haven't backed up your computer by now. So just keep that in mind going forward from tomorrow until June 22nd, I believe. Is that what I said? Yes, tomorrow, the 29th through June 22nd, Mercury retrograde. But don't forget, Mercury retrograde happens 3 to 4 times a year for 3 weeks, three weeks out of that section. You know, when Mercury is in retrograde, it's there for a while when it's there. So you know, this astrological phenomenon happens so often during the year. And it's the reason why a lot of people know of it the most, even if they're not familiar with astrology. So it tends to get a bad reputation only because people know about it because it happens so frequently. However, we want to work with that energy, not against that energy. So knowing that this is going to be Mercury retrograde, know that travel can be affected, communication can be affected, and technology can be affected. Those are usually the big 3 things that are affected during a Mercury retrograde. So remember to double and triple check everything around those areas. Make sure that you're not purchasing any new fancy geeky gear. As for me, I got in some parts, that replacement parts or things that were missing for a standing ring light that I got from Social Light. But I got those replacement parts that I was missing, I think yesterday or the day before. So it's like right in under the wire. So, and that wasn't a new purchase. That was simply rectifying something that I think happened during a previous Mercury retrograde, I think the first one of the year. So yeah. Mercury retrograde is not fun, but we can learn to work with that energy rather than against that energy. So I want to make sure I give that caveat now, because those are the big 2 things happening this week, and Mercury retrograde being the one that lasts until June 22nd. Any questions so far before I get into the actual astrology of today, tomorrow, and Sunday? Let me know now if you're watching live. And for those of you watching the replay, this is applicable to the recording date of Friday, May 28th, 2021, for future posterity. Okay, that being said, Mercury retrograde, this particular retrograde is perfect for finishing up writing projects. If you have anything lingering, even an overdue email, get it done. You'll be glad that you did. So that's another caveat from Teresa. Okay, so Friday, Today, you will need to get your biz ready for Mercury retrograde. Already talked a little bit about that, which kicks in tomorrow. Back up your computer, organize your online files, and sign any contracts. Start thinking long and hard about your communication strategies for the next few weeks. Choose every word with care or face the consequences. The Capricorn moon makes today and tomorrow stellar for admin work, essential meetings, and planning. At 12:31 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the moon sextiles Jupiter, which is ideal for updating your big business vision. Where do you want to go to next? Plot it out and make sure you account for the astro shenanigans of the next few weeks. That is including Mercury retrograde. You might want to have a plan B in place. Schedule an innovative online marketing at 6:22 p.m. when the moon trines Uranus. A well-placed ad or surprise offering could line your pockets nicely. Today is a power day for Capricorn and a weak day for Cancer. So everyone got that for today, Friday. Just give me a yes in the chat if you're still hearing and seeing me, because I'm getting very nervous about honestly, I'm getting very nervous about YouTube. So I'm going to check in on the YouTube feed right now just to make sure everything's still recording. Don't want it to drop out. Still says live. Still says live. I have a feeling YouTube already crapped out. I could be wrong. No, we're still running, so I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it going. Don't know about Facebook though. Double check that. Yep. We still are looking good here. Okay. Just wanted to make absolutely sure that we're okay. All right, moving on for tomorrow. Saturday finds Mercury conjunct Venus at 1:13 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So super, super early in the morning or late for you night owls. A lovely aspect for newsletters and handwritten notes. The public is looking to be charmed, so why not use this vibe, which lingers all day, to love up your audience? Watch out for aggressive types who want to muscle in on your turf at 10:36 a.m. when the Moon-Mars opposition arrives. A few trolls might be itching for an online war. Do not engage. All right, that's great information for me to give to my husband, who runs a hashtag game at around that time every Saturday morning. So, and if you guys want to know about that, just let me know in the chat and I'll give you that information. So do not engage. At 12:13 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Moon-Neptile sextile is too good for brainstorming sessions with your team. Set up a meeting and see what creative muses you can summon. At 6:15 p.m., the moon is void, followed by Mercury retrograde at 6:34 p.m. Shut down the office and read the retrograde info above the scopes, which I already did that for you guys. Then pour stiff one or not, as the case may be, and call it a night. Sunday's Aquarian moon is dope for handling tech snafus, updating client communication, and engaging with your online community. Just remember to watch your words. Remember, Mercury is in retrograde. What you say can be used against you. It's easier to find the right words, WRITE, pun intended, when the moon trines the sun at 4:43 p.m. This is a lovely time for online PR campaigns and group activities. It's also swell for writers. But as the evening wears on, the moon begins making cranky aspects with Uranus and Saturn starting at 9:30 p.m. The news is tense. People are closing their wallets. The energy vamps are looking to bite online. A better plan is catching up on this week's episode of Pose. or whatever it is that you're currently watching. Saturday is a power day for Capricorn and a weekday for Cancer. Sunday is a power day for Aquarius and weekday for Leo. So that is the Astro Biz Digest, the Astro Weather for you for this weekend. And I don't have the information for Memorial Day Monday yet because that doesn't hit my inbox until Sunday. So there you go. Now, I usually like to open it up a little bit for questions if you happen to have a rough day this past week and you wanted to know what was going on astrologically to perhaps explain it or make sense of it before we move into tonight's topic, tonight's episode topic of EFT tapping and the tarot. So I will give it a minute for people's questions if they have it. Again, let me pull up that countdown widget. And then we'll move on. I do have some resources that I am going to be recommending about tapping as well that I will mention during the episode. I will try to write down or put in links. And I am going to change up the filter on here. Because I do like that galaxy filter over on Instagram, in case you were wondering. Okay, let us move on to the emotional freedom technique and aka tapping, EFT tapping, and how you can integrate the tarot into your EFT stuff. First of all, what is EFT? EFT is short for the emotional freedom technique, and it's basically a combination of acupressure and positive psychology. It's a combination of the two things, working with the meridians of the body, and also it's like a form of energy work. And I'd rather quote from one of the resources that I'm going to recommend you look into. Again, when I teach some of this stuff, whether it's a divination topic like tarot or metaphysical topics, I'm always going to give you just enough information to pique your interest. This is in no way an in-depth conversation about the emotional freedom technique and what it can or can't do for you. This is more of an invitation for your own exploration if you find this technique interesting. Now, for me, EFT is really, really weird, and I don't quite understand how it works, but I know that it works. Now, if you do EFT or you check out, if this is your first experience with EFT, I would urge you to look into some of these resources that I'm recommending that you look into, and try it out for a little while before you decide that it is or isn't right for you. Because at first, when I first started learning about EFT and I started to do my first tapping round, we'll talk about that in a second, I thought it didn't work, and I thought it was a bunch of bullshit, and it wasn't. I'm just like, okay, this isn't doing anything for me. But the more that I worked with it and the more that I tried it out and learned from different people, the more I found which style worked for me, because there are a couple of different styles that we're going to discuss. And I found the person that I liked their style, and I also started to experience results as well. So just know with this modality that you can't overdose on it. But it is an energy practice. So you may want to do maybe one session, one tapping script a day at the most to, really integrate or have the energy move through your body. So this is one of the resources that I would recommend. It's called The Tapping Solution by Nick Ortner. And they also do have a website, and I'm going to show it over here to Instagram as well. They do have a website, and I believe it's either Tapping Solution or The Tapping Solution. I will look it up in a second to let you guys know. So these are the Tapping Solution. They are by no means the only people in the tapping game, and they certainly didn't originate this modality. So this is a family. So I believe it's Nick and his brother and sister, I think, that run this company, basically. So this actually started out as a documentary. So there is a documentary, I believe, also called The Tapping Solution that goes along with this book. I've never seen the documentary, but I have read through this book from cover to cover. So the introduction to this book by Nick Ortner is, I had been hearing a lot about tapping, or EFT, emotional freedom techniques. Said to be a combination of ancient Chinese acupressure and modern psychology, tapping is said to remedy a vast number of issues. I'd been reading one miraculous story after another, and so I thought, why not? Might as well try it and see what happens. And this was a story this was back in 2004, where he was having some neck pain. And so he was trying to do just about anything to make the neck pain go away. And so he had been hearing about this technique, but he hadn't really tried it for himself. So he tried and thought, why not? I might as well try it because I've tried everything. To my astonishment, the pain, which would normally have taken days to go away, vanished within 10 minutes. To be able to turn my head again like a normal person and not feel uncomfortable all day, this tapping thing actually worked. So in a few minutes, and especially at the end of the episode when I am going to be integrating a tapping round or a few tapping rounds into our weekend forecast, this is the reason why I'm going to say, yeah, it looks a little bit crazy, but I have found it to work. Now, if your mileage may vary, but I would encourage you to not end your thoughts or end your experience with EFT with me. Because I am in no means an expert EFT practitioner. I am just sharing some of the stuff that I know to work for me. So again, I'm going to ask you to experiment and to try and look into some of these resources before you give up on it entirely and think that it's not for you. Because I had that same experience happen to me where I did it a couple of times and I'm just like, this isn't working. And I would hate for you to have that same experience with some of the other maybe divination topics that we've talked about. So that's the reason why I say, like, don't sell yourself short and give it space and give it time to work for you if it's going to work for you. You're going to know if this isn't something for you, but I would encourage you to give it a chance and for me to not be your first and last stop on EFT. Because remember, I'm not an expert. So, let me give you the information. So this originated with EFT, emotional freedom technique, originated with Dr. Roger Callahan. and one of his students, Gary Craig. So as a result of an experience with one of his patients in which he used the acupressure or acupuncture/acupressure, he deepened his study of meridian endpoints and explored the combination of traditional psychotherapy with tapping on different parts of the body. He developed a set of algorithms or sequences of tapping to address different issues. If you had a phobia, such as a fear of heights, you would use one sequence of tapping points under the eye, under the arm, and at the collarbone, for example. If you were angry about something, i.e. your boss said something that just set you off, you'd use a different sequence, eyebrow, under the eye, under the arm, and on the collarbone. Now, this is the origination of EFT. Things have changed, and I'll show you what the tapping points are. After learning and using Callahan's algorithms, one of Dr. Callahan's students, a man named Gary Craig, determined that the sequence of the tapping isn't as important as simply doing the tapping. To make tapping easier, he created a single sequence, which is the basis of what he later termed EFT, short for emotional freedom techniques. The EFT sequence was designed to hit all the major meridian endpoints, regardless of the issue. We will go into the sequence in great detail in chapter 2. I will tell you 2 sequences, okay? 2, guys. One that I learned through the Ortners and the one that I learned through Gala Darling. So I'll get to that in a second. And the one that I use more often is the one that I learned through Gala Darling, which she calls power tapping. That may be her original term, or she may have learned that from somebody else. I don't know, but I will give you all of these reference materials in a second. Oh, good. Katie is here. Hello, Katie. Yay, I'm here in time. Morning, Hilary. Morning for you, evening for me. You'll have to watch the replay for all the astrology updates. We've got some doozies going on, Katie, so I want you to be prepared. Prepared, not scared, right? Okay. So we will go into the sequence in great detail, but as an overview, the tapping sequence starts with the hand, and that's true for both. So I will show you all. Starts with the hand. That's a karate chop point, but don't worry, I will show you guys. Starts with the hand, then moves to the inner eyebrow, the outer eyebrow, or the temples. Where am I? Underneath the eye, under the nose, the chin, the collarbone, the side of the rib cage, and then at the top, and ends at the top of the head. Now, I will show you the other one, the power tapping that Gala Darling does. And in that, we start at the karate chop point to do the setup, and then we start at the top of the head. Don't worry, I will show you. So Gary's genius lay not only in simplifying the process and adding some refinements, but also in creating a community around the technique. He documented case after case of people using it for themselves and then shared their incredible results with the world. Thousands of people around the globe are now aware of tapping and use it in their daily lives. Dr. Callahan had his breakthrough with Mary in 1979. That was his patient that he used this technique with. In the 3 decades that followed, no Western scientific explanation for tapping could be found. How was it that Mary and so many others lost their phobias, anxiety, and other problems simply by tapping certain acupoints? In the past few years, they have found the science that goes along with it. So when you're experiencing a negative emotional state, angry or upset or fearful, your brain goes on alert. It prepares your body to enter a full-blown fight or flight response. This response evolved to mobilize the body to face an external threat. Think of a tiger coming after your ancient ancestor. I like to think of a saber-toothed tiger. All the body's defense systems are turned on to support either fighting or fleeing, so the fight or flight. Your adrenaline pumps, your muscles tense, and your blood pressure, heart rate, and blood sugar all rise to give you extra energy to meet the challenge. So the stressors from ancient days were very real threats to survival. Today, however, fight or flight kicks in, and it's rarely activated by a physical threat. Most of fight or flight happens, are triggered internally, as in the case of Mary's fear of water, the original patient that Dr. Callahan was working with. Her body went into a threat response when she even thought of water. The same thing can happen to us when our boss yells at us, or if we're on a deadline, or we're up at 3 a.m. Having an anxiety attack, or thinking about all the things that went wrong during that day, or all the things that might go wrong tomorrow. So, for many of us, internally generated stress responses is triggered by a negative memory or thought that has its roots in past trauma or conditioned learning from childhood. This could be where phobias come from. The stress response in the body takes the same form, whether the trigger is the tiger, external, or a negative memory, internal. The adrenaline flows, the heart races, and so on. Daily life, and beyond that, daily life is filled with small fight or flight experiences. Your boss sends you an email that upsets you. As you sit down to eat lunch, you stress about your weight, or you go home to a messy house. In all these scenarios, your body is preparing you to fight or flee. You might be saying, but my body doesn't do this. But in fact, it does. It's not the adrenaline and cortisol rush you'd get if you were chased by a tiger. It's a lower grade response. But when you add it up, hundreds or thousands of these responses in a given week or month, the cumulative effect on the body and the mind is massive. It leaves us worn down, sick, upset, overweight, stressed out, and just generally unhappy. What tapping does, what EFT does, is halt the fight or flight response and reprogram the brain and body to act and react differently. So we could go into the science of why tapping works. And indeed, there is an entire chapter on the subject in the tapping solution. So I'm not going to sit here and read a chapter to you from this book, but basically, it is the stress response begins in the amygdala, and it's the body's smoke detector. It signals the brain to mobilize the body in a fight or flight response. So tapping seems to turn off the amygdala's alarm and deactivates the brain's arousal pathways. Tapping on the meridian endpoints sends a calming response to the body, and the amygdala recognizes that it's safe. What's more, tapping while experiencing or discussing stressful events counteracts that stress and reprograms the hippocampus, which compares past threats with present signals and tells the amygdala whether or not the present signal is an actual threat. Really, really interesting stuff if you want to explore the science of why tapping works. Also, there has been a lot of proof as well done by Harvard Medical School over the past decade, by a Dr. Dawson Church, research into fight or flight response, and talking about basically energy psychology. It's an emerging field known as energy psychology, which has been called acupuncture without needles. So, and it's definitely evidence-based approach. Anyway, beyond the science and research, basically the research is backing up what many of us have known for a long time, that tapping works. So basically chapter 1 is explaining it works. Chapter 2 gets right into it. So anyway, check out this book. It's really good. I like it. So again, it's The Tapping Solution by Nick Ortner. So that's one reference material. And I'm going to walk you through really quickly what a script from the Ortners is, what it looks like. Okay. So first of all, you do a setup statement. Oh, actually, you think about what to tap on. So think about what you want to tap on if you're experiencing an issue. So, you know, you can work on pain points or health issues or allergies. I like to use the emotional freedom technique with stuff that's bothering me, with emotional stuff or stress stuff. That's the stuff that I like to focus on. But you can definitely do this technique if you are experiencing pain. Again, I would recommend this book. So what you want to do is choose your most pressing issue. Rate the intensity of your most pressing issue on a 0 to 10, where 10 is like, I can't deal, I'm completely immobilized by this issue, and 0 is, it doesn't bother me at all. Obviously, you wouldn't pick something that is on a 0 because then it's not really something that you want to tap on, or something that you don't really need to work through because it's a 0, right? Then you would create a setup statement. Tap on the karate chop point. I'm going to show you guys while repeating your setup statement 3 times. Tap through the 8 points in the EFT sequence while saying your reminder phrase out loud. Tap 5 to 7 times at each point. Once you have finished tapping the 8 points in the sequence, take a deep breath and then rate the intensity of your issue again using the 0 to the 10 scale to check your progress, and then you would repeat to get the desired relief that you're seeking. So, like for an example here, what's bothering you the most? I find the easiest way to start tapping is to focus on what I call the MPI, or most pressing issue. We all have one. It's the issue, problem, or challenge that dominates your mental or emotional space in the present. What's bothering you most right now? You might have a different response, like work, my boss is driving me crazy. My body, I've had a terrible backache for days. My husband, we got into a fight last night. I can't stop thinking about how upset I am. So you would take a moment to answer those questions. And sometimes it's helpful to actually write down the most pressing issue. Or you can do that in your head. There's no right or wrong. Just go with your gut. Again, using your intuition is a theme you'll hear a lot about with this process. And that's the reason why I like to integrate tarot into EFT. We'll get to that in a little while. Once you have your most pressing issue, define it a little bit further, get a little bit more specific. Maybe the issue came up with is I'm mad at my husband. This is rather broad. So get specific. Rather than saying I'm mad at my husband, you might say I'm mad at my husband because of what he said to me last night. And one of the things that comes up a lot with tapping are people don't know what to say. They don't know what to say when they're tapping, and they feel really self-conscious about it. And this is the reason why I would say, work through some YouTube videos, work through a book like this. There's a ton of scripts that are out there free for the taking. You can use them and you don't have to pay a cent for them, you know, if you're on YouTube. And you know, try it out first with those scripts, and then you can start to get more specific with your issues, or in the moment, whatever you're coming up with. If you're thinking something instead of the thing that you're saying or being told to say in the script, you would add in that thing that's coming up at the moment, because that is what's going to happen. That's like kind of the point of tapping, is bringing it up to be let out or emotionally released. Hello, benevolent Corvus. I'm going to wave to you. So again, it's always about intention. That happens with magic. It happens with tarot. What is your intention? You know, very, very important. So throughout the book, this book that I recommend, The Tapping Solution, you're provided with sample statements you can use, but the circumstances you're facing are unique. There's no way for me to guess exactly what's going on for you. I'll point out general themes, but you'll need to take it from there, tailoring your language to your specific experiences. And remember that the more specific that you get with these, the more the tapping will really work for you, or at least that's what I found in my experience. Remember that this is not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. It's equally important to be as specific as you can. Tapping on a more general issue can certainly improve your mood, but adding details that create specificity, pinpointing an experience, such as when it happened, who was involved, what you felt in your body, so on, draws the focus more clearly to that particular issue. As a result, you'll have a better ability to rewire the brain's response to it. If you ever get stuck on the exact language, just focus on the feeling and just keep tapping while feeling those feelings. And you don't have to say anything out loud at that moment. Picturing things and feeling the feeling while you're tapping is completely valid. And sometimes you will do that when you're tapping. Focus on the feeling or visualize a picture of what happened or is happening and then describe it. Do whatever it takes to get a clear memory or feeling, and that will do the job. Like, I have this pain in my shoulder. A more specific statement would be, I have this pain in my left shoulder when I lift my arm. Even more specific would be, I have this shooting, burning pain in my left shoulder when I lift my arm. Here's one for emotional. I'm angry. More specific is, I'm angry at my boss for what he said to me. Even more specific, I felt this anger in my chest at my boss for telling me I'm not doing my job well enough. So you can see how we get like global down to more specific. Sometimes asking yourself why again and again and again can help narrow down your specific feelings. It gets a little bit like, I don't know if you've ever seen Animaniacs and you've seen Mindy. Why? You're going to feel a little bit like that when you're doing tapping, asking yourself the why over and over again. You might feel a little bit like a little kid talking to their parent, doing the why, but it helps to get more specific. For example, I'm angry at him. Why? Because he was a jerk. What did he do? Because he didn't call me back. And how does that make you feel? And so you would keep on going. Angry. How angry? Really angry. Where would that be on the 0 to 10 scale? 7. Where do I feel angry? My chest. It's about to explode. Now you have more specific details. So always try to be as specific as possible. So like there's tons of tapping scripts out there. Like I'm telling you, there's tons. You can search, I can give you a list, but if you make sure that you tailor those things as things come up, as you're tapping through, you're going to have a better result. So, and then doing that scale is a subjective units of distress scale, SUDS. So you want to always do, you don't have to do this every single time, but I found it to be effective. You want to rate it from 10 being like, oh my God, I can't even do it. Like, I'm so upset right now. Like I'm shaking, down to a 0. So when you return back to that number after the tapping, you can see that movement. So you might not get all the way down to a 0, but you might get down from a 7 to a 6, or a 10 down to an 8 or a 7. So, you know, sometimes I've done it and it's just like, I've been at like a 9 and I've gotten down to a 4. So, you know, and again, it's depending on what it is that you're tapping on. So I do like to put in that number. And then you do your setup statement. Now you're going to be hearing this phrase a lot tonight. Even though blank, whatever your most pressing issue is, whatever it is that you're upset about or trying to work through, I deeply love, accept, and forgive myself. Now, the love, accept, and forgive myself is a little bit of Gala Darling, not necessarily tapping solution. Here it's like, I deeply and completely accept myself. Like, even though my back hurts, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm angry at my husband, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm stressed out, I deeply and completely accept myself. Now, there's a reason why you do that. Along with the concern about focusing on the negative, some people don't feel comfortable with saying they accept themselves in light of the problem they're tapping on. It seems just too big, too important, or intolerable to allow for self-acceptance. If you find that you really, truly can't make that statement, it's okay. You can skip it and just keep tapping without the setup statement and then try again later. But for most of us, it's important to say it even if it feels hard. When we accept ourselves as we aren't settling or keeping the problem in place. We're showing love and compassion for ourselves, for our feelings, our situation, and our history. What you resist persists. So at the moment that we really accept ourselves as we are, that's the moment where dramatic change happens. So that's the reason why that setup statement, or including acceptance into that setup statement, that's the reason why it's in there. So once you have the setup statement, the tapping can begin. Start by saying it 3 times while tapping the karate chop points, and then you'll move on to tapping through the 8 points. So I'm going to tell you the 8 points as they do it, and then I'm going to tell you the other ones. I'll walk you through some of this. And I'm going to give you resources too. There's a ton of people that do this. So again, the Ortners, the tapping solution, you can just search the tapping solution. Gala Darling, that's galadarling.com. And Brad Yates, he's on YouTube. He does a lot of YouTube videos. So you can just type in Brad Yates EFT or Brad Yates tapping, and you can find some of his videos. And you can also specify what it is you're looking to tap on. If you're having insomnia, I need Brad Yates's tapping on falling asleep or winding down. There's a lot of art stuff already out there. And I just want to encourage you guys to get specific, even if you are doing a pre-formulated scripted tapping session with somebody. Say those things, but then if something specific comes up for you, say that too. And again, speaking this out loud while you're doing the tapping, it's pretty important to do so, but if you're in a public place and you feel like you can't say it, or you feel like you have to do this on the down low, I've totally done this when I've been in a meeting, you know, pre-COVID, when I was at the office, and I would just take my hands underneath my desk or underneath the conference table, and I would just tap the karate chop point. So I'm going to show you guys up here on the outside meat of the hand. And just 2 fingers. And the pressure doesn't have to be a lot. It's firm enough that, like, if you were trying to get someone's attention in a loud place and tap them on the shoulder, that's about the pressure that you want to do. You don't want to hurt yourself while doing it. And so you can just sit there if you're having like a moment of like, I need a little something here, you know. You can do that and tap on that karate chop point underneath the conference room table. You don't have to say anything out loud. You can think it in your head. You don't have to zone out either, and just be like, I'm really stressed out right now. It's about to be my turn. It's about to be my turn and I have no updates, or it's about to be my turn and I need to feel confident in what I'm saying. So I love and accept and forgive myself. Even though I'm really nervous about presenting at this particular presentation or this meeting, I still love, accept, and forgive myself. And you can do that in the space of your mind. You don't have to say it out loud. So this technique can be modified if you're in a place or a moment where you can't speak these words out loud. But I would encourage you to try it at home if you need to. You know, in your room with the door closed or whatever, or even like let whoever you're living with know, like, I'm gonna go into this room and you might hear me talking to myself, and it's totally fine. I'm not talking to you. I'll be out in a few minutes. You know, like, really give yourself the space to try it out. So the tapping points per the Ortners, and I'm gonna go through. It's harder for me to present this information this way because this is not how I do it. I will show you the way that I that I do. So there's a reminder phrase here, like here, tapping tips, stick with me. Again, this is a person that has been using tapping for a number of years now, like founded a company based on it, everything. Tapping the tips, stick with me. If you're anything like me, tapping will seem strange at first. This is the weird part of the broadcast. It takes a little effort to memorize the points and understand the process. But stick with me through the next couple of pages or next couple of minutes. Go over them a few times if you need to, and take the time to really learn the basic steps. Investment you put in now will make all the difference. Da, 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 da. Once you know the basics, things will move quickly. And most of the time, if you're looking up EFT and tapping scripts online, you're just doing it alongside the EFT practitioner or whoever it is that's presenting that information. And you can always pause. So I do encourage you. I know we're doing the live broadcast right now, but if you're watching the replay and you need to pause, that's okay. You can pause. It's totally fine. And I'll go through it slowly at first. And then if you need to pause, you can pause. Promise. So choosing a reminder phrase. The reminder phrase is short, just a couple of words that bring to mind your most pressing issue. I don't do the reminder phrase quite so much, but it's a good foundational thing to do if you're just learning. So, for example, if your most pressing issue has to do with the anger you feel at your husband, you might tap through each point in the sequence saying, this anger, this anger, this anger. Other examples of the reminder phrases might be this fear I'm feeling, this sadness, this frustration, this back pain, this headache, and so on. You're repeating the reminder phrase out loud to remind yourself of the issue at each point. This reminder phrase serves to keep your focus on the most pressing issue so you don't get distracted. It also acts as a barometer, helping you determine along the way how true the most pressing issue feels for you. Once you get used to tapping, you can change the reminder phrase as you tap through each point. You might say this anger, this red hot anger, it's burning in my chest. I'm so angry. Offer this kind of evolving reminder phrase in the tapping scripts to start with. Keep it simple and say the statement at each point. So tapping through the points. Once you have the reminder phrase, you're ready to start tapping through the 8 points of the EFT sequence. Now, again, I'm going to show you something a little bit different in a few minutes. So don't try it both ways. See what works for you, okay? Because the way I do it later on, when I show you, that's power tapping, where you do 2 hands all the way through. That might not work for you, and you might want to do this sequence instead of the sequence that I do the most often. So eyebrow. So where your eyebrow kind of starts, right over here. So I'm going to lean forward so you can see that. Notice 2 fingers, eyebrow. I'm going to show, actually, let me turn off the cute little galaxy eyebrow point. There you go, over there on Instagram. Side of the eye. So side of the eye, it's basically the temples. And yes, I will, if you wear glasses like I do, you can adjust your glasses if you need to. Under the eye, so where that cheekbone is, basically, right under the eye. You feel that there. Tap there. Under the nose. So basically where your Cupid's bow is, right under the nose. If you want to do just 2 fingers or 1 finger there, get in there. Okay. Chin. No, right there. Not directly on the chin, right? Just underneath the mouth, between the mouth and the chin. Okay. Collarbone. So feel for your collarbone. I'm doing this one-handed. And actually, that's like kind of the Ortner thing. So, and you can actually do like this, like a claw. You don't have to do just 2 fingers. You could do a claw, or if you prefer, I have seen Nick's sister Jessica who is also a member of the company, do the whole hand onto the chest. That works too. Hello, KJ. So trying to do this for the Instagrammers. That's a collarbone there, or you can do just one hand on there. Under the arm. Under the arm is a little bit difficult. If you're largely endowed in the chesticles like I am, you may not want to do the reach across to this. You might want to just do it same to same. So this is how I tap. So if you wear a bra, where the bra strap is, kind of where the ribs are, and you would just dig right there. Again, it doesn't have to be a lot of pressure, folks. So that's underarm, or you can reach across and go to the other side and do the tapping there. But I usually do it on the same side because I can't reach across. I am quite well endowed. So under the arm and then top of the head. And then you don't have to do just two. You can do the claw. Okay. And that's just the crown of the head. All right. So, and then, so those are the points. But your setup statement is on the karate chop points. So I'm going to hold up the diagram just to show you guys. And hopefully you can show it over here. Okay. And I know it's flipped around for those of you tuning on an Instagram. Okay. And pick up this book. Just pick up this book. And yeah, the karate chop point where you have your setup state is right here. So usually I'll do my dominant hand to my non-dominant hand and 2, 3 fingers. Again, it doesn't have to be hard. And that's where you would talk up, do your setup statement before you start to work through the points. The same meridians run down both sides of the body, meaning you can tap with either hand on whichever side of the body feels best to you. You can even tap both sides of the body at once if you'd like. It's not necessary, however, as you'll hit the same meridian lines regardless of which side you tap on. And I will show you that because that's what I like to do. Tap 5 to 7 times at each stop as you work through the sequence. This doesn't have to be an exact count, though. If it feels right to tap 20 times or 100 on one point, do it. The idea is simply to spend enough time at that point to speak your reminder phrase and let it sink in. Okay. Don't worry about getting it perfect the first time around. Just do your best and have the experience. So, and if you want to look at it, yeah, it's thetappingsolution.com. So I will, as I'm working through this, actually, let me see if I can actually do that with the audio. So those of you tuning in over on Instagram, I'm sorry I won't be able to play this for you, but let me see. Let me see. Tappingsolution.com and tapping video. All right, since this is also on YouTube, I'm going to pull that and I am going to try and run this through. We're still broadcasting over on Facebook and we're still broadcasting over on YouTube, so that's good. I wasn't even paying attention. So I'm just too into trying to work through the materials with you guys. So let me see if I can do this here. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. All right. Let me take down my overlay, even though it is quite beautiful, so I can show you this.
Nick Ortner here from The Tapping Solution. This is a very basic how to tap video. We're going to go through it very quickly for you. So here we go. Step 1, you got to pick what you want to tap on. What are you focusing on? What's your target? Is it back pain? Is it anger? Is it anxiety? Is it a limiting belief? Identify what you want to focus on and try to be as specific as possible. So if it's back pain, really hone in on the back pain and say, this pain in my lower back that is kind of tight and tender. Really try to get as specific as possible. So identify what you're going to work on and then give it a number on a 0 to 10 scale in terms of intensity. 10 being most intense, 0 being it doesn't exist. You wouldn't be tapping on it then. If you're angry, just tune into that anger and ask yourself, 0 to 10, where is it? Doesn't have to be perfect, just pick a number. So we have the target, what we're going to tap on, we have the number, and now we're going to do the tapping. So you get started by tapping on the side of the hand, the karate chop point. You can use one hand to tap on the other, either hand, both ways. Some people even tap like this. And just tap gently and repeat after me.
So want to make sure that you guys are actually hearing this. So let me know in the chat. Sorry, Instagrammers, can't do this, can't show it to you. You'll have to tune into the other video, the YouTube video that I'll put up later. So you guys can hear that, right? Give me just a quick yes in the chat and let me know. Oh, and by the way, water is really, really important. So make sure that you're drinking a lot of water before you do the tapping and after you do the tapping. I will revisit this again when we move over to Gala's method, which isn't really Gala's method. I think she learned it from somebody else, but that's more power tapping. Okay, so Katie's saying yes. Yes, I can hear it. Thank you. Dina's saying yes, and she's tuning in over on YouTube. So good. I have the two main streams accounted for. All right,
I'm going to use a very general statement and just repeat this language after me, and then when you do it for yourself, you can get more specific. Okay? So tapping on the side of the hand. Even though I have this problem,
with
this problem is this back pain, this anxiety, this anger, I deeply and completely accept myself. We're going to do that 2 more times. Even though I have this problem, I deeply and completely accept myself. And 1 more time. Even though I have this problem, I deeply and completely accept myself. Now tapping through the points. First point is the eyebrow point. Inside of the eyebrow, right where the hair ends and it meets the nose, just tap with 2 fingers. You can use one hand, you can use the other hand, or both hands if you want. And just tap gently 5 to 7 times. You don't have to get it perfect. And just repeat this problem. And now to the side of the eye. Not at the temple, right where the face turns, right next to the eye, on the bone. Again, one hand or the other, or both, this problem.
I use the temple.
Next point is underneath the eye, right on the bone, this problem. And now underneath the nose, this problem. Underneath the mouth, above the chin, below the lip, that little crease in there, this problem. 3 more points left. The collarbone point, just feel for the 2 little bones of the collarbone. You just go down 1 inch, and now to each side about 1 inch. And just tap with all 10 fingers, this problem. 2 more points left underneath the arm, 3 inches underneath the armpit, either side of the body, right on the bra line for women, this problem. And the last point, right at the top of the head, you look like a monkey a little bit, but that's okay, this problem. And then we take a deep breath and let it go, and now we tune back in. We're always looking for 2 things. 1, what happened to the original thing? So your back pain, was it a 7? Now it's a 5. Now it's a 3. What happened? What shifted? What changed? And then we're also looking for what came up along the way. So you might be tapping on anger about something that happened last week, and all of a sudden you remember something that happened 10 years ago. That's a clue that it might be connected in some way. So this is a very brief, very quick 1 round of how to tap. The process is continuing that, doing those rounds again and again until you get the relief that you need. This was a very basic how to tap video. This is Nick Ortner from The Tapping Solution. Have a great day. Hi, everyone. Nick Ortner here.
So let me go ahead and hide that and come on back here. So as you saw, sorry, Instagram, you'll have to watch the YouTube video later when I upload it or when it propagates itself. But that really succinctly, which I just should have shown you guys before, but I didn't realize that existed. I just went through the book. That is basically how to tap. I want to take you through really quickly, and I'm not going to put the overlay back up because I don't want it to get in the way of the points, but I wanted to show you the method that I use, which was taught to me through Gala Darling's different videos that she's done on tapping. And she basically, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I wasted a little bit of time. And if you guys want to, if you're watching the replay later, or if you're here watching the live and you want to watch the replay later, now you know you can fast forward through some of my explanations and go right to that video. But you know, we're learning, we're sharing, we're growing. It's, you know, it's the Friday night crew, right? So this is actually, so my first introduction to tapping was not the Ortners. My first introduction to tapping was through Gala Darling. It's galadarling.com, but she mostly has like all of her stuff through Kajabi now. And I'm definitely looking into creating the Tarot Intuitive, which is the course that I run every year to teach tarot. Turning it into, instead of a live course that I do every year, turning it into an evergreen course and putting it through a site like Kajabi, which is very much like a learning platform like Teachable, where you can go through and people can purchase your course and go through the materials. Also, her different membership sites are also run through Kajabi. Very, very helpful, useful stuff. Definitely looking into that as an option. But Gala Darling, before she was all on Kajabi, would do email courses and send the information through an email a day, basically, and put up links to an unlisted YouTube video in which she would teach some of these concepts. Now, one of the first ways that I learned about tapping is I purchased her course, Tap That, which was all about tapping. And this is something that she did in her personal life to work through an eating disorder. This is something that she talks about very publicly. So I'm not disclosing any secret or personal information about her. This is something that she says publicly. And this is the reason why she is such a big proponent about tapping. Now, that is a very extreme example of what the emotional freedom technique can do for people if they're willing to do that work. Now, her explanation for how she did that is she would do her tapping and she would be looking into a mirror when she did it. So she would be going through the points and talking through her food issues or whatever issues that she was having while staring at herself in the mirror. So a lot of like, that would be something that I would recommend. Like, I wouldn't go for those issues first. If you are new to the emotional freedom technique and you want to tackle some of those kinds of issues, I would recommend that you look up a professional EFT practitioner, which there are references available again on thetappingsolution.com. And also, I think that Gala Darling might be creating possibly a certification for emotional freedom technique. I don't know, but I'm definitely going to be looking into that because this is the person that I really learned tapping from. Hi, Zuri, welcome. This is definitely an episode you're going to want to watch over on YouTube or Facebook. Just letting you know, because I just shared a video through the streaming, so you're not going to be able to see that on Instagram. Just giving you a heads up right now, but welcome to the broadcast. Katie does say your explanation was good too. Great. That's also my purpose. So what I learned through Gala Darling's technique and through her Tap That, she's also done a ton more than that. Tap That was only her first EFT chorus or tapping chorus. Since then, she's done Magnetismo, in which she did a personalized letting go, releasing and affirming tapping scripts for each of the different astrological seasons of the year. And that was a year-long thing where she would release a new tapping video every month based on the astrological sign and their positive qualities and their negative qualities. So even if you weren't a Libra, for example, but you were in Libra season, there were specific things that the tapping on for release and specific things to bring in. So some of the concepts that she does is like tapping in affirmations, which I really like to do as well. So Zuri said, going live soon, but wanted to pop in and say hi. Okay, so you have a live sale tonight, Zuri? Guys, Zuri's having a live sale, I think. Let us know. Give me the details, and I'll pop it in so that everyone knows about it. Okay, because we're gonna be wrapping up soonish, so I'll have everyone go your way. Yeah. So tapping. Oh yep. Live sale, guys. I'll look over there in a second. I'll give you the details. So Gala's approach is a little bit different. So we do still start out with the scale, the 0 to 10 scale, to kind of rate the issue or how you feel about something. And this is also something that she does in High Vibe Honey, which is really, really reasonable, by the way. And she does that every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but it is a membership. So you have to sign up for it because people were being creepy. And so she had to kind of put it behind a paywall, which I don't blame her for, especially knowing what I do in these Friday night workshops. And all of us here have experienced from one time or another someone coming along and kind of almost ruining it for everybody. So I totally get that whole having to put something behind a paywall to protect the people that are actually there for the things that she's trying to provide, instead of, kind of scamming on people or, trying to use it as a dating service to try and get with her, which is gross. So Zuri is saying live crystal sale tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Instagram, Yacht Zuri Shop. I will put that into the chat. So she's gone. She's out like off like a pumpkin. I'm going to put that into the chat and put it out there for people. Okay, so guys, if you want to shop Zuri's sale, I would not be offended in the slightest if you wanted to go over there and tune into her live sale. I'm just saying. This replay will be available for you if you choose to do so. I'm not going to judge. Anyway, so back to power tapping. So definitely I recommend like all of Gala's stuff. Like I don't get a kickback or a referral at all, except during like the selling season for like the Vortex, for example, which is her membership thing. So I think that was the only thing that I may or may not have gotten a kickback for, but I don't think I did actually. Can't remember. Anyway, so power tapping, you're still doing the karate chop point, the setup points. You are adding a little bit of the love, accept, and forgive yourself. And you're really just talking through. It is not as, I guess, rigid as some of the tapping solution was, but also the rigidity is not because they're rigid. It's just because that's the foundational stuff. And then you can kind of get a little bit like, once you know the rules, you can start to break the rules, and you can start to really like work through, have your intuition come up, start to say the things that you're actually thinking, feeling, intuitively being moved to say in the moment. And again, this is another reason why I say, if you're working through some of these videos from like Brad Yates or even Gala Darling or even me, when I do some of the tapping for the weekend forecast, which we're going to do in a second or two. add in your own stuff. If it's coming up for you, it's going to make that tapping even more powerful. So let me make sure that I'm keeping myself on track here for what I said I was going to do. So yes, what is EFT? How to do it? We're in the midst of that. I've already told you one technique or one way of doing it, and how you can use tarot, divination, and intuition to personalize your tapping scripts. Yes, I will tell you about that in a second. But again, intuition is a very important piece of the tapping puzzle. You want to, like, if you're being intuitively guided, or you're remembering about how, if you're angry at your husband, or your husband was angry at you, and you're tapping on that issue, and then you remember a memory of your dad being angry at you when you were 10 years old, in that moment that you're tapping, you want to think about that, or maybe write that down after your tapping session is done as a new thing to tap on. This is really a process that is kind of like peeling back an onion, peeling back layers, because there could be correlations and causalities between what you're feeling, what's being brought up, and then past experiences that might be triggered from that moment. So in doing the tapping, it's almost like you're not only emotionally releasing that present moment that you're upset about, but you're also releasing the past moments as well. And you're kind of releasing it from your body with the acupressure. As my massage therapist friends like to say to me, like to say to a lot of their clients, your issues are in your tissues, you know? So the EFT, you know, the tapping is helping to move those issues out of your tissues, not in a very strong muscling out kind of way, but more of an energetic way. Does that make sense to everybody? Want to make sure people are kind of getting it. So again, I like, when I talk about tapping, you'll sometimes see me tap on my karate chop point. All right, so Katie says, yes, yes. Cool, cool. Okay, so Gala's approach, which she likes to call power tapping, I don't know if she's coined that phrase or not, but I'll go with it. Her approach is the following. So we still do the setup statement, kind of, and we talk it through. It's just like, all right, let me give myself an example here. Because I don't want to keep on going angry at husband, because it's just like, I'm not I'm not right now. It's just being used as an example in the book. But even though I'll use a real life example. Even though I'm really worried that I'm going to fall into old patterns with my drinking habits, I still love and accept and forgive myself. I'm going to hold up my karate chop point at a weird angle here, just to show you. But you can like keep it rested in your lap, whatever's comfortable for you. This is just a little bit awkward so you can see where the tapping points are. Even though, you know, I've been drinking since I was 21, and it's been a delightful way to unwind and forget about my problems. I still love and accept and forgive myself, and I'm still willing to change that habit. Even though I really love the taste of wine or beer or a cocktail, I know that it's a coping mechanism that probably isn't the healthiest for me right now. And I know that it's going to be weird if I'm going to be in a situation where everybody else is drinking alcohol and I'm not. And I'm a little bit worried. I'm a little bit worried about what my friends are going to think, or how they're going to view me or judge me. But I still love and accept and forgive myself. And I still know that this is the right thing for me to do at this time. So that's just a setup statement. That's a setup point before you even start to tap. So that remains the same. And also, I didn't do a number, but, you know, like maybe I'm at an 8. So you do that number before you start to do the setup statement and go through the rounds. Hello, I am KFM. Let me say hello and wave to you. So that's the setup statement. It's a little bit more loose in nature. And it really is more intuitively guided. But again, Gala has resources too, in which she just walks you through it. And High Vibe Honey is one of those resources in which you're doing tapping alongside her. So again, I've got probably a metric shit ton of resources that I can give after. So that's the number, the setup point. And sometimes you don't even give a number, but it's nice to have that that number in mind so that you can see tapping actually work and that number decrease as your anxiety about that situation kind of drops. And then you also can tap in affirmations as well. And then when you're tapping in affirmations, sometimes you don't need to do the setup points. And this is something, again, that she instructs when she's tapping. If you're doing affirmations, you don't need the setup point. So the order in which she does it and how she does it is she starts with the top of the head. So it's top of the head, eyebrows, side of eyes. I use the temples. Under the eyes, under the nose, under the mouth or chin, above the chin, collarbone. So you do see the commonalities, guys. Collarbone, under the arm. Sorry for this, Instagrammers. And then what's different is wrist to wrist. And that completes a round. And then you would start over again. So a little bit different again with her is after the karate chop, the setup statement, what have you, you would just start to really talk it out. Again, you can follow along with her or anybody that does this. Again, YouTube is a really great resource for some EFT practitioners, and I found a few. Brad Yates is one of my favorites, but also Gala Darling has some free videos on there too. Back when High Vibe Honey was being posted to YouTube instead of a closed program. Again, I completely support what she did because people were being really gross and creepy creepers. So you'll see that. And actually, let me see if I can pull up a video from there. Let me take a look. So, and I think it's just youtube.com/Galadarling. No, I think you can still put that in and you'll find her, but I believe it's Gala Darling XO. But you'll find her. She's got a bunch of subscribers. Sorry, I have to put in my do my power cord for my computer. Let's see. So a lot of her videos are not short. They're about 20 minutes or so. But let's see. High Vibe Honey, committing to your dream. Tapping for loving being single, tapping for romantic rejection, tapping for not losing yourself in love. What is EFT and tapping? That would actually be a great resource for you guys to take a look at. So I'll share that later on. But here, let me pull that up. Again, she's not for everyone. She's definitely got an energy to her, though, that I like. So here is committing to your dream.
What's up? Dropped into what I want. It's unbelievably clear to me. Like
Let's see.
There's no question. Constantly plant these new happen. And that's where manifesting really comes into play. You're using your subconscious mind to draw it to you. And that is fucking hot. Because Who needs to grind till they die to get what they want? You don't need to do that. You just need to give your subconscious mind a really strong, clear command. And that is what we're doing today. So now let's go to the top of the head. We're going to do the actual tapping now, and we're going to release the doubt, the fear, and the, you know, that part of yourself that kind of wants to like wimp out and be like, it's okay if I don't get it. Fuck that. It's not okay if you don't get it. You're getting it. So let's tap it the fuck in. Here we go. Okay. I'm gonna get what I want. I'm gonna get what I want. Honey, I'm gonna get what I want. Because you know who I am? I'm a fucking badass bitch who always gets what she wants. I hate to tell you, but that's just what I do. And I know that that bothers some people, right?
So in these moments,
They don't love that about me.
So just an example, because I don't want to drown out what she's saying, but when you do videos like this, all you would do is follow along and repeat after what she's saying. But you might be finding some other things come up for you when you are doing that. For example, this particular tapping that I pulled up was about committing to your dream. And I think there was probably some releasing happening with the karate chop setup statement. Okay. But that's an example of tapping in affirmations. And actually, you can write out affirmations. And we do have a previous episode in where we talk about using tarot and divination to write affirmations for ourselves. I believe it's in there somewhere in the replays and the playlists. But that would be a really great exercise to also do. Write down those affirmations that come up and tap in those affirmations. Like, I am a badass bitch. And yes, she does curse. So if you guys aren't swear bears or you get easily offended by swears, she's probably not the right person for you, but also neither am I. Because I will drop a curse from time to time. By the way, newest episode of the Card Slingers Coast to Coast podcast is out today. And I know I definitely cursed on that episode because we were talking about jumper cards and stalker cards. So those are like, fuck. If you're being stalked by the same card and you see it come up, you know, day after day, week after week, and actually the 8s of the tarot were stalking me this week. So I am just going to put my head to my desk if we get an 8 for tonight's weekend forecast. I'm just saying, I'm just warning you, I'm letting you know. This is just the tarot's way of fucking with me this particular week, because that was the topic of this week's podcast episode that got released. Anyway, so I'm a badass bitch. She says I'm a badass bitch. I repeat. I deserve to have the things that I want. Nothing's going to stop me. And people are going to like me or judge me no matter what I do. And that's okay. So you would just keep on going and tapping along. And if, you know, nothing comes up, or if you're worried that, you know, like, I'm not going to say the right thing or whatever, like, just keep on going along with the videos. Like, I promise you, it does get easier. Like, I've been tapping along with Gala Darling for at least 3, if not 4 years. I can't remember when Tap That came out, but I'll probably look it up in my records and find out for you guys. So that's an example of a different way of tapping that also works. And this is the way that I usually work, because it's accessible to me, because I understand it, because it's in a language that I understand and that I also speak. Some of the people that are on YouTube are a little bit more precious about it. And while the tapping does work, I'm usually not drawn to that tapping because it's in a language that I don't speak, you know, like, you know, if it doesn't resonate with me, if that language doesn't resonate with me, then the EFT, that tapping script, is probably not going to resonate with me either. Does that make sense to everybody? So yeah, like I'll continue and I'll show you exactly what to do here. Makes them mad.
It makes them make jealous comments to me.
It makes them make jealous comments to me.
It makes them want to downplay what I've achieved.
It makes them want to downplay what I achieved.
It makes them want to piss on my parade.
It makes them want to piss on my parade.
But you know what?
But you know what?
They can have all of that.
They can have all of that.
They can have all of that smallness.
They can have all of that smallness.
They can have all of that jealousy.
They can have all of that jealousy.
Because it's not my problem.
Because it's not my problem and it's not my business.
And I'll be damned.
And I'll be damned.
If I let other people's opinions.
If I let other people's opinions.
Stop me from getting what I want.
Stop me from getting what I want.
I've done that in the past and it feels like shit.
I've done that in the past and it feels like shit.
Doing that again.
I am never doing that again.
No, honey. Never again.
No, honey. Never again.
I'm going to commit to my dream even more wholeheartedly.
I'm going to commit to my dream even more wholeheartedly than I already have.
And I am going to command my subconscious mind.
And I'm going to command my subconscious mind.
To make it happen.
To make it happen. So,
I'm sending it out like a little Oompa Loompa.
So I don't know if I would say Oompa Loompa, but she has such a lovely accent that, you know, she can go ahead and say whatever the hell she wants to. Love her, really resonate with her. And also, Katie is saying, yes, resonating. Awesome, great. I don't know if it happened to be that particular one that I chose, but yeah. Gala Darling, really good resource. There's also Brad Yates as well. He's done some videos that I really like about like insomnia and anxiety, because, you know, I wouldn't say that I'm a diagnosed insomniac, but I definitely have spiraling thoughts, and my husband can just fall asleep and he's asleep in 5 minutes. That doesn't happen for me. I'm usually up a lot longer than that trying to get to sleep. Once I get to sleep, I'm fine, but it's the getting to sleep that's the problem for me. So so there have been some videos that Brad Yates has done that's particularly effective, that I really like. So see what works for you. And I will definitely put resources into the description, either here on Facebook, and on YouTube as well, so that you can look up these different people and also look up different other people that are EFT practitioners. They're all over the world. There's so many people. And I would not say that I am a licensed or whatever EFT practitioner, but I do have an option if you would like me to come up with a personalized tapping script for you to go along with your email reading. Actually, I didn't think about this when I set up the overlay here, but let me see if I can pull it up here in my purchase options. But yeah, it is in my shop, or is it? It's on my Acuity too. Here we go. So it's under specialty readings, email reading, and personalized EFT tapping video. So you would ask your question, and then I would do a 3-card spread, and you'll receive the interpretation of the spread and also a photograph of the cards I pulled along with your reading. And along with that, you would also receive a video file of a personalized emotional freedom technique, aka tapping routine, based on the core theme or problem of the tarot reading. So I've done this with a couple of clients. It is $50, so it's double the price of an email reading, but you're getting a personalized EFT tapping video in which you would just tap along with me, that is personalized to your particular issue and the theme of the reading that came up for you. So that's another way that you can integrate tarot and divination and intuition into your EFT is you can book a reading with me. And yeah. So that's under specialty readings at my website, tarotbyhilary.com. So go ahead and check that out if that's an option that is working for you, resonating for you. All right. And if you kind of want to see how that works, we're going to get into the weekend forecast, and we're going to do one right now based on the weekend forecast. Does that sound good to everybody? And let me put my overlay back up. And I will run screaming if I get the 8 of anything. So let's set things up here. And let me make sure that everything's still recording. Yeah, everything looks... We've been going for a while. I'm happy to see that that YouTube is working. Both of them are working. I did see hearts in there when I looked over on Facebook, but if you can go ahead and say, yes, that sounds good, that would be helpful because I can't see the hearts when I'm doing my streaming. So let's see. What was I just about to do? I have just drawn a blank here. Ah, yes, countdown. I'm a little bit obsessed with the weekend forecast. I'm a little bit obsessed with the countdown timer. Don't know if you I don't know if you're getting that. Oh, great. So Katie says, great stuff. I'll be rewatching this episode for sure. Awesome. And that's what the replays are there for, folks. Yes, we record these things live every Friday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, from my neck of the woods to yours. But this is the reason why I do it both live and also offer the replay or the recordings, because you want to revisit some of this stuff. It can be a lot of information to take in, especially with different topics, like especially the stage cards of the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot. Like I have already revisited that broadcast, and I'm the one that did it. Okay. And then I'm going to send you guys over to Zuri and bother her and buy stuff from her because she's got some really, really great stuff. Again, my where's my pendulum? The pendulum episode that we did, we couldn't have done it without the rose quartz pendulum that I got from Zuri's live sale. Also, as you well know from that episode, you don't have to have a fancy pendulum in order to use a pendulum. A necklace with a pendant can work just as well, or a ring on a string. If you want to know more about that, you can check out the episode on pendulums. Okay, so I did not do a card of the day today because I just didn't have the time. So our weekend forecast is going to sub in for our card of the day, or be both, serve as both. But let's see. And the reason why I integrate tarot into tapping, or know how to do that, is because, again, this is something that I saw from Gala Darling that I didn't see anybody else doing. And so some of the high vibe honey that she has in her YouTube playlists, you're going to see the card of the week or the reading of the week. So she might do 1 card or 3 cards. And then whatever came up for the tarot, that's how she was guided to do that particular topic. And it always was very prescient, very resonant with me. So I was just like, I haven't seen anybody do this. So if somebody else has been doing tarot and tapping before her, I don't know about them, and you can let me know. But Gala Darling was the inspiration for me integrating EFT into some of my tarot stuff, and vice versa. because it was just so cool to see what was coming up. Like 1 week, she pulled the Magician card, and she was using the soul cards, which are really, really beautiful, and they come in different. I think there's black and white and rose, like pink colored, and I need that deck, folks. I need it, and I still haven't gotten it yet. But like it was like the Magician card came up, and she was just like talking about the tapping, I believe, was about flexibility and knowing that, like, if it was me, I would probably talking about starting before you're ready, because that's something that frequently comes up when I see the Magician card come up. But it is also about flexibility and like being multi-talented and being multi-passionate. But that tapping script was about flexibility, or learning to roll with the punches, or learning to accept change, that change is coming whether we like it or not. And so it was an entire tapping on that. And I was just like, this is awesome. So I can't purport myself to be Gala Darling, because I don't want to be Gala Darling. I want to be me. But that is who I first saw using tapping and the tarot in that way. So let us do the scroller for the weekend forecast, Hilary. Jeez. Let's see. So into the weekend forecast. Let's go. What do we most need to know this weekend? I'm not sure, but I've got my noise canceling headphones in, but it sounds like it's starting to really pour here, which I love. I don't think, me saying that I have trouble falling asleep, I don't think that's going to be a problem tonight, because rain, the sound of rain really knocks me out. It's like the best sleeping weather ever. So. All right, what do we need to know for this weekend? What are we going to be tapping on to make it a good weekend, huh? Okay. Wow. Well, at least it's not an 8. At least it's not an 8, folks, because the 8s have been following me around. And I'm not even joking with you. First, it was the 8 of Pentacles, and I did post that card of the day. The very next day, it was the 8 of Cups. And then the very next day after that was the 8 of Swords, but reversed. So I was just like, are you fucking with me right now? Like, is the tarot fucking with me right now? Because we just, like, I had just listened to, in order to approve the episode before it went live, I had just listened to our episode that we just released today on Jumper and Stalker cards. So I'm just like, is this really a message for everybody else, or is the tarot just fucking with me and, playing an inside joke on me? And so I determined that the tarot was playing an inside joke on me, and I didn't post it because it was just like, no. Anyway, it's not an 8. So but it is a major arcana card. So it is kind of a sit up and pay attention. So let's work with this. So we are getting, for the weekend forecast, the Hanged Woman reversed. So there you go. And there you go for Instagram. So give the companion book interpretation, because this is actually quite a good companion book. And by the way, this is the Mystic Mondays Tarot by Grace Duong. Really wonderful modern deck. I like it. Beautiful silver edges, wonderful packaging, which is actually under here because I've been using my tarot bag that Jamie sent me from Moonlit Fae. She got me an Aries tarot bag. from Moonlit Fae, so I love it. I've been using that. Though the Mystic Mondays Tarot does have very good packaging. You don't need another separate bag for it. Anyway, but this is a very good companion book. So I will quote from the companion book, give my own interpretation. Then we're going to turn it into a personalized tapping session based on everything that we talked about today. So keywords for the Hanged Man or Hanged Woman reversed from this deck is avoidance, sacrifice, and delay. Putting a lot of effort and energy into a situation or person is wearing you down, especially when you are not seeing the return. Stop sacrificing your time and values to please other people. Ooh, this is going to be juicy for a tapping session, guys. If you're putting off a decision to avoid confrontation or responsibility, it may come back to haunt you. The time will come when you finally have to speak your truth. Feeling stuck and unfulfilled is increasing your awareness of what you do want. This suspension in time is actually a blessing in disguise. Meditate on your issues so that you can gain much needed clarity before making any moves. Utilize patience. Sit still and realize your life is bigger than this one moment. There are always other options, and they will reveal themselves to you as you keep going toward your path. So that's the interpretation from the companion book, folks. Now, my interpretation when I see the Hanged Man reversed is kind of in keeping with what was just discussed, but also a little bit different. So the Hanged Man reversed is kind of contemplative in nature, and I am going to agree that it is this like kind of pause. Like the universe is taking like this big deep pause, and it can be very frustrating for people who prefer their timeline to the universe's timing. If you're anything like me, if you're like me, the Hanged Man can be a very frustrating card. However, with the reversal, it's like this pause is necessary to gain information. So you're gaining information at this moment, and it's all information. And you may be filtering it more than it needs to be and giving an emotional filter to it, which doesn't need to happen. So it's almost as if it's all information, and treating it as neutral information is probably the best way to go at this time. And that it's just, it's fact finding. Like it's almost on a fact finding mission right now. And that information, like now is not, I'm going to disagree a little bit with the companion book and say it's not time yet to act on this information. You're going to keep gathering this information, but it's not yet time to act on the information. Is everyone hearing me? Does that make sense to you guys? And I'm just seeing alerts that my mother just got home, and apparently it's pouring out. So I'm glad that I'm glad that the pop-up just happened. As some of you know, my mom likes to call me right before I'm about to do these broadcasts. She was out and about, so that didn't happen this time around. Oh, anyway, so let us take this card and let us take both the companion book advice and what I just said, and let us create something here. Some sailing, stop sacrificing your time and values to please other people. If you're putting off a decision to avoid confrontation or responsibility, it may come back to haunt you. All right, I think I know. I think I know what we want to tap on here. All right, so let's get ready. So again, This is something that I learned from Gala Darling. You want to hydrate yourself. You want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. When you're doing this work, it can be very draining. You're doing energetic work. And it's the same thing I say pretty much all the time. Hydration break when I do these shows, right? So you want to make sure you're well hydrated, either seltzer, water, what have you, water with lemon. Before you do the tapping and after you do the tapping. And if you feel run down, that's completely normal. And if you feel you need to go to bed right after this, that's fine. I mean, depending on what time of day. I know, Katie, it's the morning for you, so you might not be able to do that, or you might be able to take a little cat nap. I don't know. So what I want all of you to do is I want to evaluate that statement, give it a number. Like we were saying, do the number stuff, right? How do you feel when you are sacrificing your time and values to please other people? Now, is that an issue that's high on the number scale for you, or is it low? Because to me, that's like an 8 for me, is working through my lunch break, having to respond to last minute meeting requests, other people presuming my time, my energy is theirs, or that I don't have something that I need to be doing. Presumption of their time is more important, their values are more important. And if you're pleasing other people or you're trying to avoid confrontation or responsibility, I don't think the responsibility part of it is in the mix here. I think it's more of the avoidance of confrontation, but sometimes confrontation can be necessary too. So I think I know what we wanted to do. Yeah, okay. All right, Katie, then this one's for you. It's a 10 for me. All right. So you're at a 10, I'm at an 8. Write down your number, make a note of your number before we get started on that, okay? So drink your water. If you're watching the replay, you can go ahead and pause it. Drink your water right now. Let's do this. This is going to be a short one considering we've been in it for a while, and I can feel my voice start to get a little bit froggy. So yeah. All right. Setting up. So it's an 8 for me. It's a 10 for Katie. What's your number? Did I show that before? It's a 10. Yeah, it's a 10 for you. All right. Okay. So thinking about that and thinking about the Hanged Woman as well. And these are some techniques. I'm going to show some techniques as we're going through the tapping as well. And I am going to pause right after I say something, because I want you to do the tapping alongside with me and say the words out loud with me, and also add in your own stuff as it comes up. Okay. So sometimes when we work with a tarot card in order to create a tapping script that is personalized or works for us, we want to look at the imagery. We don't necessarily want to go with the literal, divinatory interpretation. Sometimes we want to look at the imagery on the card and see if it reveals something as well that we need to focus on. To me, there is a sense of constriction and a sense of obligation as well that might be coming up. So I'm going to try and integrate that into what I'm saying. So let's drink some more water. Besides the fact that I'm feeling froggy, I feel like it's going to be a big one. Also, I want to say something else before we get started. So this is an emotional energy. This is energy moving through. So if you start to cry, it's okay. if you start to yawn, if you start to burp, if you start to fart even. These are very, or belch. These are very natural energy releases. This is the reason why, again, some of my massage therapist friends, they are like not embarrassed. Like, you should never feel embarrassed going to a massage therapist because they have seen it. They have seen it all, and they are very aware of what bodily releases look like, or energetic releases look like, as they work on people. So very, very, very similar to what a massage therapist will experience when there's a release happening. Same thing here. People will belch. Air gets moved around. People might cry. Again, the issues are in our tissues, right? So if you feel yourself yawning, that might be something to explore. You're getting a release there. If you start crying and you're just like, what the heck is wrong with me? It's just like, there might be something underlying there, and you might need to go back in and do another tapping on that. So there is a lot of work to be done. Once you start to work through tapping, there's also another thing that I want to just touch on really briefly before we get started here. In this book, in the tapping solution, there is something called the tapping tree. It's kind of an exploration here. The four most common types of targets to work with are symptoms, side effects, emotions, events, and limiting beliefs. In the section that follows, we'll cover, so to keep the targets in your mind, this is a great concept created by an EFT expert, Lindsay Kenny, called the tapping tree. So it's, the symptoms are really like the leaves. I'm sorry, I'm not able to show it over here. So the symptoms and side effects are the leaves. The emotions are the branches. The events is the trunk, and the limiting beliefs are the roots. I can't do anything right. I'm not safe. I'm not okay. I'm not lovable. I'm different. I'm not worthy, blah, 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 blah. So the roots, you might be starting to tap on the symptoms, right? Like weight issues or asthma or self-sabotage. So that might be a symptom. But when you start to work down, you might get to the emotions, shame, guilt, remorse, events in the trunk, or detached parents, or you were bullied growing up, or you felt abandoned or betrayed, to get down to the limiting beliefs of the roots. I'm not safe. I'm not okay. So keep that in mind. There's always more to explore for tapping. It's not really like, you might start to scratch the surface and then find that you want to go deeper. And these are maybe symptoms that you're tapping on, but you might want to do more tapping to get down to the trunk or the roots of limiting beliefs, which is kind of reinforcing almost everything that we do on a very subconscious level. So as Carl Jung says, until you make the subconscious conscious, it will control your life and rule your fate, or something that, like, I'm roughly paraphrasing. But it's something that I think about a lot when I talk about tarot. So anyway, getting back to the Hanged Woman reversed. What was I saying again? Trying to avoid, stop sacrificing your time and values to please other people. All right, let's go. Tapping on the karate chop point, and repeat after me. Even though it seems like everybody else's time or values or other stuff is more important than mine, I still love and accept and forgive myself. Even though it seems like I'm bound and constricted by forces outside of my control, I still love and accept and forgive myself for feeling guilt or shame or resentful that other people are trying to take up my space and my time. I know that this issue is a, say your number, a 10, an 8 for me. Because what really is happening underneath is that I am resentful that I allowed this to happen for so long. But I also feel guilty when I try to speak up for my own needs. And I'm allowed to feel however I want to feel about it. But I know that the more I take the sting out of my communication and remain as neutral as possible about my time limits and my constraints, the more effective I can be in asserting myself and my boundaries and my preferences going forward. So even though I'm feeling guilty for not speaking up for myself sooner, I still love and accept and forgive myself. Although I am not yet there about releasing resentment for other people and encroaching on my time, I'm willing to consider starting to releasing that. And realizing that it doesn't have to be a big theatrical production. It can be a simple statement that I say only to myself that I value my time more. Take a deep breath. That's just a setup point. So I'm going to check in and I'm going to see how people are feeling from that. I would suggest taking in a little bit more water, just a little bit, before we get into the tapping rounds. And if no one responds within a minute, I'm just going to continue on to the tapping. Definitely feeling a little bit overheated. Then again, I am wearing a sweater. So give yourself a few deep breaths, have a little bit of water, and then we'll move on to the tapping rounds. Oh boy, I was waiting for a paragraph. Yep. So Katie says, okay, that raised a few issues to work on, mainly self-worth. And of course, our favorite thing, boundaries. Yes. And I do have an update on that, by the way. So we'll talk about that after the tapping, if I remember, which I'll do in another session of tapping for myself. Yes, absolutely. Or we can focus a little bit on that now, because I think that it's kind of all related. I also did look back in the companion book here and see, like, there are other utilized patients. Sit still, realize your life is bigger than this one moment. There are always other options, and they will reveal themselves to you as you keep going forward in your path. So I kind of want to bring that into it as well. So I'm getting ideas here, and I'm letting my intuition guide me. So let's keep going here. Again, this is going to be shorter. I always say that, and then we have a marathon session. So, all right, let's start at the top of the head. Repeat after me. So, I deserve to have a lunch break. I know that sounds really stupid and really small, but it's the really stupid and the really small that is adding up lately to much, much bigger things. And the writing really is on the wall. That no one is going to take care of me but me. At the very least, people can support me. But if I don't take care of myself, then why the hell would other people? So I know that I'm worthy and deserving of taking time to eat, taking time to sleep, taking time to feel rested and not buy into the work myself to death culture. Take time to have hobbies that just bring me enjoyment instead of being a revenue stream. And not feel guilty when other people's expectations don't align to my expectations. That is completely and totally okay. I know that I'm not for everybody. And I know that the universe is almost doing a self-sort on the people in my life right now. Which is really scary for me, because it brings up a lot of stuff about self-worth and whether will there be anybody left in my corner after the universe is done sorting. I don't know, but I have to hope that that's the case. I have to hope that I am making the right decisions for me at this very moment. And I know that if I pick wrong, that there's no such thing. That I can easily course correct. That the universe always trades up. That when I put myself first, that's always going to be the right choice. And that might sound selfish, but it's really not. Because even if other people think me selfish for, I don't know, having dinner, instead of working myself into the ground, well, then that's really their problem and not mine. And I know that this is not an easy thing to work through and that it's not going to happen overnight. But I know that the resentment will pass and the guilt will pass, because that's the surety of life. That today's problems are not going to be tomorrow's problems. And that the things that I worried about last year, I can't even remember. So I'm going back to what I originally said. That putting myself first is never going to be the wrong choice. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Now take a big, big swig of water. And I know that Katie was tapping alongside me. Katie, I want you to check back in. What's your number? It may have gone down only slightly, and that's fine. I would say I went from an 8 to a 5, which I think is pretty good. Your mileage may vary. You might have had other stuff come up, like you did with the setup statement. That's fine too. I'm definitely probably going to go back and do that tapping again on the replay, and that's fine. Yes, I will tap alongside myself if I need to. Hello, angel number candles. So I'll wave to you. So yeah, I'd love to know what you thought about that. So Katie, give me a little bit of feedback, and then we will wrap up the episode. Let me hide the crawler. I do want to remind people while Katie is coming back to check in that I do these episodes every Friday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We cover different metaphysical topics, and also I take user requests as well. So next week's episode is going to be planning episodes for the month of June. We've started to do this, I believe, in October is really like setting up the editorial calendar together, as it were. So, I usually determine what I'm going to be teaching for the rest of the month so that people can tune in to the topics or the episodes that they want to learn more about. So again, Fridays, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, wherever you tune in from. I believe I stream to both Facebook and YouTube and also to Instagram, though I am considering not doing the stuff on Instagram quite as much anymore because I can't stream in the same way. I'm doing it right through my phone, and it's very bare bones. So reminder, Fridays, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm also available for readings. If you would like to book me, my website is tarotbyhilary.com. I am seeing people asking some questions in the chat. If you would like to book a reading with me, you can go ahead and do so, tarotbyhilary.com. So Katie says that was interesting. Yeah, I know, a little bit weird too. I get it. That was interesting. The resentment has dropped from 10 to 8. Good. So there's a little bit of movement there. I got hit with the exhaustion that I feel when I'm in the midst of being the person that is getting all that stuff dumped on me and neglecting myself. All right. So yeah. So that is a little bit of like almost the, I think they call it kind of like a movie theater kind of tapping, where you can actually sit in that feeling and then tap through the points without saying anything, just feeling it and kind of rewinding it like or winding through it, playing through it like it's a movie, and then doing a tapping that way. So I think it's like a technique that they describe in the tapping solution. So again, I'd recommend picking up a copy of the tapping solution or going to thetappingsolution.com. They have a lot of great free resources, and also they do have an app which I've been using. Though you do have to pay for the app in order to get like access to the entirety of the tapping scripts or tapping audios. So try the free version first, see if you like it before you go ahead and make the full purchase. Also, there's a lot of resources. Again, Gala Darling's YouTube channel. Go to High Vibe Honey or her tapping videos, and you can probably find something that you're looking for that you can easily tweak into working through that too. Yeah, took a sip of water and then continued tapping. Yeah, sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you get like super dehydrated in the middle of a tapping, and it's just like, just pause the video. I know you couldn't do it for the live, but if you work through this again, like do the tapping again tomorrow. The same one. Go back to the replay, do the tapping again tomorrow, and see what else comes up. Again, there's can't overdose on tapping, guys. So I'm really glad that you tapped along with me, Katie. I hope all of you tapped along with me, and I hope you got something out of it and saw how you can use divination. So you don't have to just use tarot. If you're a rune reader or if you use Lenormand, you know, tap on the stuff that comes up in your readings and kind of work through those issues. See how you feel afterwards. I definitely feel tired, like Katie was saying, a little bit exhausted, a little bit overwhelmed there. Awesome, great. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Katie says, thank you for that. That was really good. Awesome. That's what I'm here for, folks. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this episode. I did want to touch upon the boundary thing really quickly. So gotta talk to you about this because I know we had talked to, oh my goodness, Queen Mother, hello, hi, welcome. We're just wrapping up the episode, so you'll have to watch the replay. I would recommend watching over on YouTube or Facebook because it's a little bit prettier, a little bit cleaner in the broadcast. The boundaries thing. So I did mention that that I'm doing a boundary boot camp course with Terry Cole. Terry Cole's latest book, Boundary Boss, came out. And so she was doing the boundary boot camp for like a really, really low price. So I went ahead and I started to do it. And guys, it's like pretty incredible. And I think the 4th module just got dropped, I think either Wednesday or yesterday. And I'm still in like the module 2 materials because module 1, it was just like a lot. And it was a lot of emphasis on self-care and upping your self-care. So again, you're kind of getting a little bit of a benefit of that from the tapping that we just did because it is like upping your self-care and realizing that it's just like boundaries are saying yes to you. It's not like boundaries are saying no to everybody else. Boundaries are saying yes to you. And if you can't say yes to you, then like, hello. So I didn't realize this, but when I went through like the materials for module 1, I'm just like, oh, wow. You know, like, there was a portion of it where people were just like, do we talk to other people about our boundaries? Do we do this? Like, do we like, I'm just sharing everything that I'm learning. And she basically said like, don't do that because you're kind of diluting the learning that you're experiencing right now. And instead of actually learning this for yourself, it's almost like you're learning this to be able to share it for everybody else. And that's not the purpose of the chorus. And I'm like, oh, because that's exactly what I was doing. And I'm like, Oh, okay. And notice how a couple of episodes ago when I mentioned this to you guys, I was just like, hey, we might have another boundaries workshop that I'm going to do, because I was so ready to teach it that I'm stunting my own learning about it and my own learning experience about it, because I'm just so ready to share it with everybody else. So, talking about boundaries and stuff, I will not be doing a third workshop on boundaries until maybe much, much later on, or not at all, because of that little tidbit that I got in my boundary boot camp. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. I hope I'm not hurting anyone's feelings by saying that, but also another little tidbit that I will share and try not to dilute the learning is people are not that fragile, and the world will not end if you assert a boundary with somebody. And you don't have to be mean about it, and you don't have to be unkind about it. You can just simply state it, like, oh, I'm not really a hugger, but how about a nice handshake? And that's a physical boundary that you're exerting right there. Like, oh, I'm not really a hugger person, but I'll shake your hand, or I'm kind of like a fist bump, or like a hello, like a wave. I'm not really into touching, but thank you. Like, how can you be offended by that? And even if somebody is offended by that, people are not that fragile. So if your mind is like blown by those two little tidbits, like, that's kind of what I'm dealing with right now. And that's the reason why I'm in module 2 instead of working on module 4. And I'm completely okay with that, because I have lifetime access to the chorus, and also I'm exactly where I need to be right now. So yeah. Ooh, that's a good thing to say. That's an interesting tidbit there, Katie. I tend to agree with that. I always used the thought that people will find someone else to drain instead of you. I think that's very true. And it's not your responsibility to protect other people. You got to be able to protect yourself, and protect your stuff, So, whoo! Anyway, I hope those little tidbits helped you. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and assert my boundary that we are into, like, I don't know, nearly 3 hours, 2.5 hours of the broadcast. So again, and some of these episodes might be a little bit shorter in the future, because, time boundaries and time constraints are also important. So anyway, I will go ahead and wrap things up. Thank you all so much for watching and tuning in, whether you're watching the replay or you were watching live. I always appreciate every single one of you that tune in. Queen Mother is asking how I am. I'm pretty good. I hope you're doing well. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Go ahead and do this tapping whenever you feel the need arises. Just because it's based on the weekend forecast doesn't mean that it's not particularly applicable for you at any other time. You can totally do it if it's resonating with you. So Katie says, thank you so much. Have a good weekend. You as well, or whenever you're tuning in. I'll remind you that we do this every Friday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, giving you that reminder. And if you would like to book a reading with me, tarotbyhilary.com, email readings, phone readings, Skype readings. We're still in the pandemic, folks. We might be winding down. People might be getting vaccinated, and that's great and that's wonderful. But I may never return to in-person readings, because you know what? Skype readings and phone readings are just as good, if not better, I think. Please reach out to me, book a session, see if you agree. I think you will. So once again, I am Hilary, professional tarot reader, demystifying the mystical and putting you in touch with the most beautiful of gifts, your own intuition. Because yes, my friend, do not argue with me. You have intuition. Everyone has intuition. Find it. You have it. I know. Yes, they are. Yes, they do. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, folks. We will be back here again next Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about episodes for the month of June. Bye. Let's see. Yep. Bye.